What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/AmITheA butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it massively helps out our channel. It really, really does. And let's just crack straight on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Wedding Cake Allergy, and it's called Am I the Arsehole for Calling the Police on My Mother-in-Law? I've had this alt for a while and I've been debating whether to post this or not, but I might as well just do it. Also, sorry if the formatting is odd, I'm writing this on my phone. A few weeks ago, I had a birthday party for my brother-in-law with my SO's family. We all wore masks and isolated for 2 weeks prior to the party. I got nice decorations and a custom-made cake for my brother-in-law. The cake was a vanilla cheesecake with almonds because my brother-in-law loved almonds. Unfortunately, no one had ever told me my mother-in-law had an allergy to almonds. We had the party and right around the middle of it, I brought the cake out of my refrigerator and shit hit the fan. All of a sudden, my mother-in-law started screaming and accused me of trying to poison her. I wasn't that shocked because she's sadly always been like this. For example, I married my SO a few years ago and we had a microphone at the event so people could come up and say something if they felt like it. She kept trying to yank it out of everyone's hands so everyone have to listen to her BS. But that's a story for another time. Anyways, she started accusing me of poisoning and took the cake out of my hands and just threw it. My SO got angry at her and kicked her out. She refused to leave and we actually had to call the police so she would be taken off our property. I felt like I had a good enough reason to call the police, but my brother-in-law said that although she was way out of line, I went too far by calling the police. All of the other family members who went to the party were split between whether I was the arsehole or not. So, was I the arsehole for calling the police on her? I think just from a legal standpoint on this one, you're not the arsehole because she was refusing to leave your house after you attempted to kick her out. So, no, I can't say you are the arsehole. And what an absolute... What is wrong with her, man? She's crazy. And I think you're doing the right thing by setting a boundary here and saying, no, this behavior isn't acceptable. She's clearly gotten away with it all this time prior to that, and the family seems to accept this behavior. So I don't think you're the arsehole for this one at all. And then, well, it's probably not going to teach her a lesson, but there is that small hope. Walk to the Brook says, not the arsehole. She destroyed a beautiful cake that you paid for. If she really has nut allergies, she could have simply avoided eating the cake. Curious that your SO did not know their mother's nut allergy. And OP replies to that saying they didn't have a good relationship. She kicked him out at an early age and she only reached out to him 5 years ago because she found out he's a doctor. And I choose you, Snorlax. No, Squirtle. Not the arsehole. If her family has decided to accept her behaviour, that's their choice when they are in their own home. You don't have to accept someone refusing to leave your home. She decided not to leave. She was escorted off your property by the police. It was her choice to be so disrespectful and refuse to leave. Her family may tolerate her craziness, but you don't have to. Your SO was in agreement with you. Their opinion should outweigh the rest of the family's. I have severe allergies, and there are countless better ways to handle not being able to eat something. Smashing a cake is just unacceptable behaviour from anyone. And I am getting the pig says not the arsehole. She was on your property and refused to leave. And there we go. Now, what do you guys think of this story? What do you think of this situation? Just picking up a cake and launching it across the room. What the hell is that about? Poor cake. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from No Address 7987. Am I the arsehole for banning my sister from seeing my child because she convinced our parents to stop helping me financially? For some background, our parents retired young as accountants and amassed a pretty penny from investments. We're both trust fund kids, since we were 16 and set to end when we are 30. We're given $3,000 a month from our parents. I'm 28 male, my sister is 31 female. Considering the climate we're in now, since we live in expensive cities with $2,000 a month rent, it's mostly a rent subsidy than anything. It's not just a throwaway money to fuck around with. It still needs to be used with care. I call it a trust, but it's managed by my parents, not a third party. I don't know the word for it. It's not a contract or anything. Ever since I started getting it, I've been saving it. Once I got my own place, a lot of it goes to rent, but I kept saving the rest. I don't work to my full potential because my job right now as IT at a private school is very comfortable and non-stressing. When I got married last year, we did use a lot of my savings. Compounding this is we just completed our first pregnancy in October. And since babies need money, it just kept diving into my savings. Right now, the $3,000 a month is paying rent for while I continue to save otherwise. That is until my sister decided to convince our parents that we are both adults so we don't need this money anymore. I don't know what was said, but she did convince our parents to do this. I received my trust fund last month, but not this month, and I'm told I'm no longer getting it. Right now, I have to contend with a 5-month-old in a house I no longer can afford and will likely have to move to a more remote area where rent is cheaper, but also lose my job in the process, when even a 1-bedroom apartment is like $1,500 a month in rent. It's just impossible to live. We were grandfathered with our house rental at $1,900 for 4 bedrooms. I want to know if I'm the arsehole for banning my sister from seeing my child since this entire situation is of her own creation. I don't know why she is doing it, but it affects my family when it doesn't really hers. She lives at home with them still, she isn't paying rent, nor is she getting this money anymore. She got hers, but I can't get mine now. And sorry for chuckling in the middle there. I'm not sure if this is a normal term or not, but it did make me laugh. I had to stop for a minute where it said, completing the pregnancy. It's like, what? Is that normal? It just reminded me of computer games and all that sort of stuff. I know, I'm weird. But anyway. And we're going to start straight away with OK Sympathy saying, "You're the arsehole, boy. You really are the epitome of a spoiled trust fund kid. The decision to give you thousands of dollars regularly was always your parents' to make, and you should never have planned your life around it continuing. Just because your sister happened to point out that you two are grown-ass adults who don't need mummy's money doesn't make her responsible for your poor choices and financial situation. Grow up finally, and don't cut off family members because you're finally having to experience adult life like the rest of us. P.S. If this is ruining your life now, what the fuck was your plan in 2 years when you stopped getting the money?" And Galper replies to this saying, "If I'm understanding correctly, their rent on a 4-bedroom house is $1,900. Yeah, it's hard for me to feel sympathy for someone who received roughly $400k from his parents, lives in a high cost of living area, has a full-time job and partner, and now apparently can't even begin to fathom how they pay their drastically reduced rent." And Flippin' Freddy says, "So let me get this straight. You and your sister have received a monthly allowance of $3k a month from when you were 16 and would end when you were 30. Sister turned 31 and essentially convinced your parents to stop the monthly allowance because you were both adults, although she received it until its end date, and you were cut short by 4 years. And now you are upset using your child as a pawn to manipulate her and your parents, correct? 1. You were and are very entitled and spoiled to be receiving any amount of money monthly from your parents once you became an adult. 2. I'm sorry to be rude, but if you can only afford your house and lifestyle by including your allowance as income, then you've gone about finances all wrong. 3. To be blunt again, but you should not have chosen to have a child if you cannot support them yourselves. Your child is for you and your wife to raise and support. You do not decide to have a child based on the allowance you receive from your parents. 4. You admit to not working to your full potential. Maybe it's time to do so. You've flown by on your parents' money so you wouldn't have to get a better job. That's just laziness. 5. It's possible your sister is looking out for your parents' futures. Unless you know the ins and outs of their finances, it's none of your business that if they decide to stop giving you an allowance. Your sister lives with them, so it seems she would actually know if they are struggling, and taking a $3k monthly burden off their back can make a huge difference. 6. Your child is not a pawn to be used in your petty games about money. It's sad that they will suffer because their parent is upset and that they have to act like an adult in life and clearly don't want to. Yes, I see how you feel it's unfair, and you feel slighted because you were cut short 4 years of free money. I could be all wrong, and your sister could be just upset she is no longer receiving an allowance and thus convince your parents to stop paying you too. But it was and not is your money in the first place. You are an adult and so is your wife. It is up to you two as a couple to financially support your family. You were living beyond your means because your parents were footing the extra bills. Time to adult up. Get your shit together with your wife and figure out how to live comfortably within your means and incomes you two earn. Stop using your child as an emotional manipulation tool against your family. Going with, you're the arsehole in this one. Absolutely. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and how would you deal with it? Let me know. in the comments below. And our next story is from Garbage Bin. Am I the arsehole for shaming someone over my plastic surgery? Hello, I figured I'd post here because my friend group is split on this one. For a bit of context, I, 21 female, have some sort of condition where flexing certain fingers is painful. It can get to the point where my finger locks and doesn't move. Most notably, whenever my finger bends, there's a loud pop followed by pain. I've been looking into this for years and no one seems to know what to do besides putting it in a splint and hoping. I finally got a call from my doctor that she got me a referral for a plastic surgeon that specialises in hand and feet, and I'm extremely excited. Basically, the procedure that's going to be done is similar to the Botox, where they try to stiffen the finger to prevent my tendon from snapping. I told a few of my close friends about the procedure. I guess one of their girlfriends overheard that I was getting Botox and misunderstood. She started messaging me of how beautiful I was and that I shouldn't mess with my natural beauty. I was offended because she kept making the comments even after I told her to stop. Every time she saw me, she would mention it or bring up how important it is to be yourself in this plastic world. We were on a large group call the other day to hang out and she made a comment to me in front of our friends saying, "Not everyone has mummy pay for Botox." I was pissed. My parents are not paying for any part of the procedure. It's covered by my country's healthcare. I asked her where she thought I was getting Botox and she replied that it was obviously a facial surgery. I went off on her. I told her about my health issues and how the procedure gave me so much hope that maybe I could literally hold a pencil without pain. I told her she was being judgmental and that she had no right to judge me, even if my surgery was cosmetic. I told her to get off her high horse and reevaluate herself before trying to shame other people. I also called her a huge judgy bitch at one point. She ended up logging off the call. The call got really awkward and we ended up just hanging up a few minutes after. She messaged me later saying she felt alienated from the group and that I didn't have to call her out in public like that. I could have told her privately. She also blamed me for not telling her the surgery was medical earlier, leading to this misunderstanding. I don't think she was entitled to any information, and even if it was cosmetic, she had no right to act like she did. Her boyfriend and one of my mutual friends think she's right, and I should have corrected her in private. I could be the arsehole because I did kind of make a call awkward for everyone instead of laughing her joke off and correcting her later. Edited to add, a few bits of information I realised I left out when seeing the comments. 1. Why were you so offended by a natural beauty comment? And then says, these were passive aggressive statements and not compliments. She would send me links to opinion forums or blogs about God's natural beauty and told me I was ruining myself. 2. Why didn't you just tell her, honestly? I told her it was not cosmetic and she refused to back down until she had every detail. She claimed it was an excuse if I wouldn't elaborate. I don't think she's entitled to know my medical history, especially when I don't really know her. 3. Why did you get so mad? I kind of downplayed my condition. Not everyone in that call knew about it because honestly, it can be embarrassing. I know it's something I can't control, but it still hurts when I have really bad days and need someone to help feed me, or I just drink soup out of a straw. It sucks when you know your hair is matted but you can't pick up a hairbrush to untangle it. I didn't want people to treat me differently. Most of them knew I had some problem with my hands because I sometimes have to use voice to text when taking notes. And there's a small paragraph update which we're going to cover after the comments. But I don't really see why you have to be the one to bring it up in private when she was the one who was initially calling you out to begin with. My main point from this one that I really took out is OP was right, no one should have access, friends or not in my opinion, should have access to your medical information if you don't want to supply it. You shouldn't have to tell people about your medical concerns, and no is a full sentence when it comes to most of these things, and we've learned this multiple times on this channel. If you say no, you don't want to talk about something, that should be it. You shouldn't have to keep bringing it up over and over again with her sending you multiple links and stuff like that. So absolutely not the arsehole in my opinion. But Serious Laser says, 1. She called you out in public, you responded in kind. 2. She had no right to your medical information at all, let alone at the time of her choosing. She's just mad that her own actions made her look bad in front of people. Not the arsehole. And Stuff Tasty says, totally not the arsehole. She made a comment about it in front of everyone, so why should she get the privilege of privacy? Besides, she deserves to be called out for being so judgmental for no reason. And no, it was none of her business to know why you were getting surgery. She needed to be thrown off her high horse. And why no username says not the arsehole? She brought it up in front of other people trying to shame you, so why should you call her out in private? She was making ridiculous assumptions and being incredibly judgmental based on that. Imply that your parents are paying for plastic surgery while in a group call was her trying to embarrass you and also sounding bitter and jealous of you. She didn't deserve any respect from you simply because she was being so incredibly disrespectful to you. Don't apologise too. She could do with plastic surgery herself because she must have a really big nose from the way she goes around shoving it in other people's business. Good luck with the procedure, I hope it works out well for you. And Rihanna25 says not the arsehole, not all plastic surgery is cosmetic. And even if it is, and someone doesn't like the idea, what someone else may do with their body isn't really anyone else's business. My brother had plastic surgery age 10 to put his nose back together after getting a hockey stick to the face. Ooh. And my uncle had plastic surgery to reduce pain and tightness of scarring on his neck, which was the result of surgery for throat cancer. Plastic surgery can be a medical necessity, and that's no one's business. 100% true. And that, when it mentioned about the hockey thing, I used to play hockey when I was a bit younger. Oh man, I used to live in the ice rink when I was younger. And yeah, getting hit in the face with a hockey stick isn't a good time at all. And now we'll cover the mini update. So thanks everyone for your comments. I was not expecting this to get so big, so I didn't have time to reply to everyone, but thanks to those of you reaching out about similar issues or providing information based on experience. It helps to know that I'm not the only one, and that some people have been treated for this and had the treatment work. I usually hate drama, and I didn't even know the girlfriend would be on the call. If I did, I absolutely wouldn't have joined. My friends messaged me, apparently they were all pissed, and messaged my friend to let them know that what his girlfriend said was not okay. They are supporting me 100% and are even helping me do some research into recovery options. And what a bunch of wholesome friends. Gotta love it, right? But anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And what's Am I the Arsehole without a wedding story? So am I the arsehole for telling my entire family to leave when they showed up to my wedding? Me, male 27, and my wife, female 36, got married 2 weeks ago. I have a 10-year-old stepson. We have an incredibly strong bond. My wife is my whole world, and I met her 2.5 years ago. I think it's 2.5 years. She recently moved into my hometown. That's when I officially introduced her to my family and friends and announced our wedding date. My family, especially mum, didn't take the news well. They didn't believe I was being serious. They called me crazy and refused to hear me out when I tried to explain. Didn't give my wife the chance to show them who she is. They've seen her as less than. Before the wedding, my mum sent me an email with a list of reasons why she thought I was making a mistake. 1. The age gap. 2. The fact that I'm a doctor and my wife's a childcare worker. 3. The fact she has a son. 4. No one in town knows her. 5. What? She's not good looking nor attractive and Lord knows what else, but none of this matters to me. I could make a list of 100 reasons why she's the one for me. Mum and family found wife's Facebook and started leaving nasty comments on every picture I'm in, accusing her of stealing/fooling their son, called her manipulative and a user. Mum said I'm not her son anymore, called everyone I invited telling them not to show up at the wedding, saying my family aren't approving of it. Wife and I were devastated after we got calls and emails from guests we've invited saying they won't come. We've put work and money for a venue, food, etc. I felt terrible when I saw my wife crying while looking at all the returned invitations. We decided to have the wedding at my place with a few of our friends and wife's side of family. At the wedding, my brother-in-law approached me saying my family arrived and they were at the door. I was shocked. I saw mum, dad, sisters and aunts standing there saying they wanted to come celebrate with me, but not my wife. They didn't want to deal with her. I felt enraged. I told them they weren't allowed inside and that they needed to leave right then. My dad started berating me, calling me disrespectful for how I repay them for being graceful, and decided to come to my wedding. I started arguing with him and my mum, telling them I'd call the police if they won't leave. My aunt called me a jerk for mentioning the police and said a good person doesn't treat family like that. Ugh. They left after minutes of arguing. Friends saw that and said I went too far with how I handled this and shouldn't have told my family to leave after they finally showed up to support me. They said I ruined my own wedding, being resentful, not letting this drop. My grandfather was mad since he arranged for my family to come and said I messed up by making a scene and not letting my family come in. Blamed and shamed me for what I did and said I now owe them an apology. Firstly, well done 100% for backing up your new family. over your trash family. Sorry, but that's the way it is. But I can't believe that they have the cheek, to basically destroy any of your plans, all that stuff you went through preparation, totally trash your wife, and then have the cheek to show up at your front door and said they only want to celebrate with you and not your wife. What's your wife meant to do? Oh shit, you go sit over in the corner, wife. They don't want to celebrate with you. You can sit over there for a while, all right? We're going to celebrate over here. Absolute trash bags. I can't believe there's people like that. It's obviously going to be a not the arsehole in the situation, and just well done you for sticking by your family, and you should have called the police. Get them off your property as soon as, because they're scumbags. And Win River says, not the arsehole. Did these people think that your wife would leave or fade into the woodwork while they celebrated with you? That's my thoughts. The whole group is totally clueless to think that they could denigrate your wife and call her names and then still show up for your wedding. And Rusty Shackelford replies to this saying, honestly, they probably planned and expected to ruin her day by 1. Showing up and ignoring her, thus upsetting her, and 2. Probably planned to distract OP so much they figured if they stayed in his face, he probably would inadvertently ignore his bride while dealing with them, further ruining her day. And Xenavia says, not the arsehole, I wouldn't have just threatened. I'd have called the cops and called them trespassers, because that's precisely what they were doing. And Miss Murderpants, haven't seen Miss Murderpants in a while. I love how shiny your spine is for your new family. Please cut off your old family, block them on everything. No mail, email, text, calls, or social media. No in-person contact. Why? Your family made your wedding about them, not you. Them showing up and creating their drama was to prove some narcissistic point about your wife. Be aware they will attempt more drama at your home. Please get cameras for your property that record sound in the video. Feel free to share on just r/justnofamily, because ding ding ding, you've won the prize for the most toxic family today. Good luck, stay strong, ignore those jerks. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending 20 minutes or so watching a video and getting involved in the channel. Some of you guys have been asking about the podcast and what's going on with them. I've got some plans. I might be switching my supply, because I currently go through Anchor at the minute and they post to all different social medias, but I might be moving that across. It'll still be on Spotify, but I just need to work how to get the current playlist into this new one and things like that, basically. But yeah, it's coming back soon, very, very soon. So don't worry about that. And just a huge thank you for everything. That means the absolute world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.